Welcome back to the channel Karma is Calling, where we talk about the spiritual, the astrological, the psychologicalness of the human experience. My name is Lauren. I am a licensed therapist. I'm a certified astrologer and coach. And basically, my whole business surrounds healing, the healing journey, supporting other people on their healing journey. And so I really wanted to make a video today around the reality of healing. Not what Instagram makes it look like, not these stereotypes that are being floating around now that pop astrology and inner child work is mainstream. I want to talk about the reality that I have witnessed over 7 years of with my clients, and also what I've witnessed through astrology and how do we use astrology to help us understand our shadows and heal. So in this video, we're going to talk about stereotypes. We're going to go over why is it so hard to heal due to defense mechanisms. We're going to go over why life can feel so hard sometimes, specific modalities we can use, how to move through these energetic blocks. And then at the very end, I'll talk to you about what parts in your birth chart tell you where these blocks are and how to heal them and why. A lot to get to. So we're just going to kick off with the classic line, healing is not linear. And I think that's a really important thing to know as you start this journey, whether it's with a therapist, a coach, an astrologer. You are going to feel good. You're going to have a high in the beginning because you're going to be learning about yourself on an intellectual level. You're going to understand why, yada, 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 yada. But then you're going to have to get to the work. You're going to have to get through the ego to that soul work, and it's going to be triggering and it's going to be painful. And you are going to feel like you healed something and it's going to come back around again, and you're going to have to face it again and again and again. And that is why healing is a spiral. And when we know that, we don't shame ourselves for backsliding. I hear that a lot. Oh my God, I backslid. No, you didn't. That same situation came up in your life for you to see it in a different perspective, to meet it from a different lens because you already had healed so much. So I'm going to give you some examples. Currently, the astrology is making us look at things from the past that we have thought we already healed. That lunar eclipse in Virgo and that solar eclipse in Aries. Lunar eclipse in Virgo is because we need to detoxify our life. Perfectionism, guilt, a lot of the things that we have been working through came back up. The Aries solar eclipse was such a big deal because Mars in Cancer was squaring it. So a lot of familial things that we had to let go got resurfaced again. So I'm going to use my example for the solar eclipse. I didn't make a solar eclipse video because I was eclipsed that weekend. It was a lot, okay? So if you were crying last weekend, you're not alone. But basically, this part of me, my inner child that I have worked with a lot around people pleasing, was flared up. And why it got so triggered was was stepping into a new version of me, a more confident version of me, a new identity, a new job. Everything about me is changing. That inner child is extremely sensitive to that because it is now processing all the times that I didn't feel safe, all the times I doubted myself, or I was told I wasn't worthy, or, all the things. So it was like, danger, danger, danger. Don't put yourself out there. And because of that, I looped into old defense mechanisms of being defensive, being angry, lashing out, crying. And I had to sit with that part of me. I had to identify, okay, this is my inner child. This is not adult self Lauren. This is inner child Lauren scared. And if I would have been mad at myself for being triggered once again, this inner child, I wouldn't have been able to heal it because I would have shamed her. She would have felt bad, went away, and it would have looped again. But what I did instead was I allowed her to come up. I allowed her to voice her opinion, why she is scared. And I got to reparent her and tell her that it's okay and that it's valid to be scared. But you are not the same person. You are an adult now. You are safe now. And so I think we have to remember that, and we'll go into more parts work. It's called IFS and how we process these moments later in the video. But I just really like to say, you are not backsliding. Relapse is normal. If you're working with addiction, right? We know relapse is normal because you learn something new every single time. Same with mental health, same with people pleasing, same with overachieving, right? If you slip back into those same patterns, it's normal. And the best example I can give you is the astrology birth chart because it's a circle for a reason. It starts with the first house, whatever sign rules the first house. It's traditionally Aries because Aries is the start of the zodiac, right? And it goes all the way around the zodiac wheel to the 12th house of Pisces. Pisces is 2 fish. Reasons is one is staying here on earth, one goes back up to spirit land. We are constantly going through these cycles of life every single year. And that's because the sun, our consciousness, is going through every single house and every single sign every year and forcing us to look at that part of ourselves. Some years we make major leaps. Other years we might make tiny little baby leaps. But no matter what, you are never the same person from one birthday to the next. There's no way. And so when you are re-triggered, when you do these same behaviors, you're still meeting it at a different version of you, even if you don't feel like that. And it really shows the progression through life, right? And why as you get older, you get wiser. Now, there is no final healed version of you. So that's another stereotype. Let's debunk it. There's literally no way to be fully healed because every version of you is going to have a new thing it needs to look at. So even if you like follow a guru that you love, that person is probably working through a lot internally as well, whether they say it or not. It's the part of the human experience, right? Like we literally came down to earth to heal. Healing and evolving. And it's interesting because if you think about it, it's not just about us, our individual soul growth. It's around the collective soul growth. Our little spiritual beings was saying, I'm going to go to earth because it's dense as fuck. Density creates feeling. It creates matter, right? This water bottle is a matter. Emotions, we can feel them. And on earth, you get the full spectrum. You get the negative feelings and you get the positive feelings. And we get the beauty of earth and we get the destruction and the trauma and the pain of earth. And that is why souls come down here, is to experience that. And other universes don't have physical bodies, right? They don't have density. Bashar, this person who channels an alien race called Bashar, talks about how humans won the lottery because we get to come down here and evolve so quickly because we get to experience pain and we get to alchemize it. And in astrology, Pluto, Scorpio, and Mars are the planets of alchemization. Those are the harder, more painful aspects of our charts, but that pain creates strength. And so we come down here to evolve, but we get stuck in the ego, which is what creates the pain. And so another stereotype talk about is like, we don't want to abolish the ego because the ego is our ally. It's not a villain. In the New Age spirituality, we talk really negative about ego. From a psychological perspective, the ego is what keeps us safe. Because from a psychological perspective, if we did not have an ego, we experienced trauma early on in life, we wouldn't be able to live. The despair, the pain of that trauma would be too much. So instead, we were born with an ego that creates defense mechanisms so that we can literally handle the trauma as a child. Now, from a spiritual perspective, the ego is the thing that creates a separation, which almost makes us human. The ego is what makes me, me, and you. It's the I part. It's the I, right? Like me, how we look at ourselves as individuals. That's the ego from a spiritual perspective. And again, we still need it because if we didn't have an ego, we would all blend with one another, which allegedly other alien races have, right? If you have read the book, The Law of One, Ra is the alien race as that person channels. And they said there are multiple people within one. They're just Ra. Here on Earth, we get to pick our avatars. We get to pick our identity and what we're going to look like. And that ego gets to pick and adapt to that identity because the ego is just a bunch of experiences created that has formed who we are and how we perceive the world. And so when we talk about wanting to get rid of the ego, that's actually not really part of the human experience. That's actually really unsafe. What we want to do is we don't want the ego to rule us. We want to become conscious of the ego. Because if you can become conscious of the ego, you know when a boundary is being crossed, you understand when something's not safe and you need to get out of there, fight or flight. But when you're unconsciously allowing the ego to control your life, you are functioning from fear and protective mode because that's what the point of the ego is. But when you're functioning from your soul, you're functioning from compassion and you're aligned and you just feel better, right? So shadow work isn't about killing the ego. Shadow work is around becoming conscious of the ego and using it as strengths once you heal those parts of yourself. Now, I'm going to talk about IFS right now, internal family systems, because I think that the way I'm speaking, it's a really great way to conceptualize this. So internal family systems is a type of therapy. And basically what it is it believes that our ego, or it conceptualizes our ego as a bunch of different little parts. We have the protectors, we have the exilers, and we have the firefighters, okay? The protectors are the parts of ourselves that we developed to be able to stay safe, function in society, but most importantly, protect the exiles. Because the exiles are our trauma memories, are the beliefs about ourselves that are so painful that we hold in the deep unconscious and in the shadow parts of ourselves that we want to keep tucked away. So the protectors, whether that's people pleasing, whether that's anger, whatever it is, to kind of fight off anything that's going to trigger the exile, keep it suppressed. So we have these defense mechanisms. But of course, we're going to be triggered every once in a while. That's life. So an exile is going to come forward. Some people have more lock on their exiles than others, which is where mental health comes in, right? So say my exile of not being worthy is unlocked and I am in a mess and I'm experiencing all these symptoms and I'm crying and da-da-da-da. Well, we're going to have a firefighter come on in and say, no, you need to go back down. Whether that's scrolling, smoking weed, drinking, whatever that firefighter is, to make sure that that exile stays down, is going to come out, and then the protector is going to come back in, and that's how you're going to function. Okay? A lot of us, our exiles start to come because it's all in the body. So your heart starts racing, you start feeling really anxious, and instantly a firefighter comes in or a protector comes in and fights whatever is coming at you so that you don't have to feel that, or you can project on the other person. And this is where defense mechanisms come in, right? Whether the defense mechanism is avoidance, where you're scrolling, or numbing, where you're just completely disassociating and going blank, or it's people pleasing, or it's anger, right? Retaliation, whatever that defense mechanism that was created as a little baby you that needed to move through that trauma is now going to come out as an adult as well to protect these exile parts, right? And defense mechanisms, this is Freud. He identified these hundreds of years ago, right? To realize that we need to protect ourselves as children, like I was saying. So they're going to make sure everything in their power that they never have to experience that pain again. And that is why they will engage in a defense mechanism, or that protective part will come up. And so a really big reason why so many people don't heal is because they get stuck in this trap that when they're in this healing journey, when they're in this process, they hit a level of, I have to start attacking those exiles. That's too painful. I'm not going to let myself. Or they literally won't even get to therapy or to the coach or to an astrologer, because the fact that their ego is telling them it's not them, it's everyone else around them. I'm perfect. And these defense mechanisms are so damn strong in people that it blocks them from healing. Or your ego creates a part that's on a spiritual high, like a spiritual narcissist or the spiritual ego. So you go to therapy or you start your spiritual journey, you have your awakening, and it's like the first level. And you're like, this is so fun. This is so amazing. I'm healed totally. If you ever think you are healed totally, because remember I told you there's no end goal. If you feel like you are, you're in your spiritual ego. There might be times that you feel like I need to take a break from healing, 100%. But you are never fully there. The amount of people who have come to me and like, well, I'm totally healed. I've gone through my spiritual awakening. Your spiritual awakening is cyclical. It's a spiral. You just awaken and you awaken and you awaken and you awaken. There's no end game. There's no end point, because your soul is literally infinite. So I see in Instagram reels and how people talk about their spiritual awakening, or how they talk about themselves as spiritual practitioners online, that they're fully there and they're fully healed. And if that's anything you're seeing, red flag, because that's not the reality. We're always going through something. Another red flag I would say is if you're working with someone who talks about completely escaping the matrix, right? That's another stereotype thing. I don't believe we ever escape the matrix. I believe we unplug from the matrix, right? We rewrite what's happening in the matrix. And we are literally born at this time for that. Because if you think about it, if we escaped the matrix, we would be escaping our bodies. Density. The matrix is the 3D, which loops back to like we came down into this matrix so we can experience the beauty and the pain and yada yada. But what has to happen is enough of us have to unplug from the programming of the ego, because the ego has created these identities and these belief systems that we are functioning from. And the people in power understand that. So they programmed into us that certain identities will never be successful, that money is everything and that you have to work 9 to 5 to make money, that to only make more money you have to work harder, right? All these programmings of the patriarchy, of the capitalism society that has been programmed into us, that have created us to stay stuck and to be unhappy, we have to wake up to be able to change the collective. Because if so many people are all believing the same thing, that's then projected to the collective. Because remember, there's not only our consciousness as individuals, there's a collective consciousness. And that collective consciousness, which actually goes back to Freud and Jungian, has been proven, and it's through astrology. Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, those are the collective planets, the collective consciousness. And if we all start believing something different, the power of my beliefs create my reality, my perception is my reality. If we change those beliefs, if we unplug from the program of the matrix right now, and we start to believe something different, they lose their power, and we now have a new reality. And that's the basis of Pluto going into Aquarius, right? That is the basis of the destruction falling during Pluto and Capricorn. Now, I believe with the new president of the United States, why he was elected on a spiritual lens is to be the catalyst for all of us to look in our shadow self and say, what do I still believe? Am I still an oppressor unconsciously? Do I still feel victim to the systems unconsciously? Because he's triggering that in all of us. And the more awful shit he does, the more that it's triggering people to look within themselves and say, why did I ever support this person? He's manipulative and he's a narcissist. Right? And so then we get to heal. And the more that we heal, the more the collective heals, the more we get to take over. And part of the collective unconscious is that we all hold beliefs, and then we project that outward, and that's what creates our reality. And if we're all believing this oppressive narrative, the patriarchal narrative, then we won't ever change it, because we're all subconsciously believing it, because it's been programmed in it through TVs, through movies, through textbooks, whatever the way it's been programmed into us, through the news, media. So now is the time that we have someone running our country that is reflecting back all the shadows, all the things that are wrong with our country. And it's our duty to look in the mirror and say, what beliefs do I hold that I need to let go of? Whether you're the oppressor or you're the victim, to unplug from the matrix, to create a new reality, and then project that outwardly and help other people also see that. The domino effect. It's like what Buddhism believes, right? It's like we're all a drop of the ocean that creates larger ocean. I probably totally butchered that, but it is that, right? You healing you ripples to everyone else. And the more we all wake up, the more change we have. We've been talking about Pluto and Capricorn decaying the systems at play. Now, did I think he was going to be the person to decay all the systems? No. But the funny thing is, he is decaying all the systems so we can rebuild them in a more conscious way. Because what's going to happen is he is triggering so many different people. Enough people are going to wake up, overthrow him, because karma will be served. Then we get to rebuild. That's the Pluto in Aquarius. That's the Uranus moving into Gemini and the school system being rebuilt, right? Like I didn't think it would come in this way, but now I'm seeing the astrology. He's literally decaying the systems, undoing them all. And it's like, okay, we're going to step in and we're going to rebuild them. It's just like Pluto moving in Aquarius. I literally said Hollywood would fall. We all did. We all know that as astrologers, right? How? Oh, P. Diddy. Wasn't expecting that. Was not expecting that, right? So it's just really interesting to see that the shadow spirits are like maybe in control, but because it's so negatively polarized, it's never going to last because enough light, enough people are waking up to share love. But anyways, I'm on a tangent. That was a complete tangent. But it's really around not escaping the matrix, staying present in the matrix, staying present in our bodies. We can't escape the matrix because then you're going up into the 5D, the head, the 3 top chakras, and that can create psychosis, that can create disassociation. We need to stay in our bodies and be the change. Spiritual psychosis is a really big topic right now too around healing, is because so many people try to open up their top chakras without being grounded. And there's a saying, you have to go down before you go up. And so I almost fell victim of it, and so it is really being conscious of like, we're not escaping the 3D, we're in our bodies. And as we open up, we might be able to tap into higher levels of consciousness, whether it's through astral travel, whether that's through psychic abilities. But all in all, you have to be grounded here on earth to fully, safely open up in that way. So reframing, we don't want to dissolve the ego. We don't want to escape from the matrix. What we want is we want to become conscious of the ego, and we want to deplug from the matrix so that we can change and rewrite the matrix. Now, how do you change this, right? Okay, you're like, I have all this trauma, or I get triggered all the time. Like, what do I do? And this is going to sound so easy, but it's actually so hard. Okay. When these parts of you are triggered, I want you to meet them with compassion. If you are curious, if you're compassionate, why am I triggered right now? Okay. You kind of start talking to that part of you. Then you will make change. But it's actually really hard because a firefighter or a protector typically comes up and tries to steal the show instantly. So you don't even get to sit with that part. But if you can, and when you do sit with that part and it's from a compassionate lens, then that's your soul. And when it's your soul meeting that part of the ego, that's when you can transcend it and you can heal it, and it becomes a strength. Now, astrology, you can think about your chart as all the different parts of yourself. My Mars is in Leo. When my ego is attacked, when I don't feel worthy, Leo, knowing your damn worth, right? I get angry and I get defensive and I snap. Only with my partner. But that is the part of me that I have to learn to control. Now, the other part of the Mars being in Leo is I know my passions and I go out and do them, right? I know what I can do. And so when that part's for it, I have to be like, whoo, part of me, I hear you, Mars, I hear you. But let's work together here, right? And then use it as a friend instead of being like, oh my God, Mars, you're here again. Why are you here? Da-da-da-da. So meeting in that space is going to be so powerful. And I promise you, change will start to happen and you'll see yourself in a better light. You'll be happier with yourself and you'll have more compassion. And it really changes your life, truly. Now, I think I already talked about this in this video, but again, I want you to realize that it's not just about you and you doing your healing, right? Like I've talked about, we all have to do our individual work to reflect back. But that collective trauma, your soul decided, I'm going to come down in this time period to help heal it. The millennials of genocide and death and power and abuse that has happened to us on a soul level in past lives as well. We're here now to heal it. And remember, time is not linear, which is like a weird concept, right? Time is not linear. So when we heal our versions of ourselves now, we're healing past life versions, we're healing future versions. And that's a whole nother video. And it's kind of a weird concept to think about. But like we chose to be here to change the world in 2025. So even though it's exhausting, even though it's a big feat, I want you to realize that we are in the school of life. We are here for lessons. Remember, we hit that jackpot. Even though it doesn't feel like that, we got to look at our ego in a different way and realize the beauty of healing within the pain. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about astrology and where in our birth chart it's going to show us things that we need to know. I'm going to say karma a lot. Karma is not bad. Karma is just a experience that energy you have put out that is coming back, and it could be negative polarized or positively polarized. Okay. So first place that will share things is your south node. Your south node in your birth chart, the house and the sign, are places and strengths that you have accomplished in a past life that you are bringing into this life as a strength. But because it's a strength, you can get stuck in it and become extremely comfortable, stuck, comfort zone, draining, things like that. Chiron. Chiron is the wound from a past life that you chose. I'm going to re-wound myself in this life around to this thing, and I need to heal this wound. And if I can heal this wound, it is your superpower in this lifetime. It is the key to success. Okay? So it's literally a key. So check the house and check the sign. What wound are you carrying, not just from this life, but from past lives? And this is a really important thing because you can go to therapy and you can be like, I processed that trauma. But until you understand it's not from this life, that energy won't fully release. It's wild. I've witnessed it time and time again. Then you have your Saturn. Saturn represents a lot of things, but one thing it does represent is your long-term lessons that you have to achieve. It is that karmic contract that you said, okay, Saturn, I promise I will take responsibility over this area of my life. And you might be restricted for the first 30 years in it, and it might be really hard, but you will tap into it because it makes you. And if you have not woken up to your Saturn lesson, that is why your life might be shit right now if you're in your 30s. But once you tap into that karmic lesson, it's wild the magic you will make because you took responsibility and you understand that your hard work will pay off. And it's very, very karmic. You can look to your 12th house. Your 12th house is things that are stored in your deep subconscious that you are bringing in from past life that you have been wounded in before. If you have a planet here, this is karmic. This is something you have to heal in this lifetime, okay? Because if that planet, say it's Mercury, you either are extremely anxious and cannot control your thoughts, or maybe you have suppressed your own voice. Right? So either the planet is overactive or it's underactive if you have a 12th house planet. 12th house, the ruler of that is really how you self-sabotage. It's literally like your baggage you're bringing into this life. Pluto. This is where your soul has stopped on a soul evolutionary level in a past life and where you're picking it up in this life to progress evolutionarily. It's like the evolution of your shadow parts in this lifetime, linked to other lives. 8th house. This is the house of death and rebirth. It is the shadow house. It stores a lot of sexual trauma. It stores that energetic of the pain that you've experienced. Your moon, your IC, and sometimes your 4th house are your ancestral wounds, your familial wounds, the things from your childhood that you might have to heal. This is really around the family stuff. The black moon Lilith, it's a calculation point in your chart. And this is the part of you that is your repressed rage and your exiled sexuality and your exiled parts that is like that dark feminine that most of us are told that we have to suppress. But when you unlock that black moon Lilith, you become so magnetic because you are no longer scared of any parts of yourself. Now, obviously, book a reading if you want to know more about this, but also I'm doing astrology coaching containers and we will unpack all of this and learn how to honor these shadow parts of myself and use them as my biggest fucking strengths. Even after this video, just sit with it and figure out like, what are my karmic lessons? What keeps popping up in my life? What am I blaming other people for? What am I not seeing? Why do I keep getting triggered? It's not everyone else's responsibility. It's yours. So thank you for being here. Like I said, I'm opening my coaching book soon. I'm also opening my mentorship program. So if you want to be an astrologer, that would be for you. It's 7 months long. And really, I teach it from a soul-based level of how do we help heal other people? Because again, that is the journey, helping other people heal, because it's a domino effect. And the more people we heal, the better the earth is. And that's why we're freaking here, guys. That is literally why we are here. I'll say it for the last time. Thank you for coming. Like, share, subscribe, comment, help me grow this channel. I will greatly appreciate it. Comment any questions as always, and I will see you next time.